Alrighty. We are back live. Well, not live, but we are recording with sound. Thank you. Okay, welcome. This is Crucible Tarot. We are going to be reading for the sign of Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Rising for the month of July 2026. We're going to be peering into the energies that are taking place for this period and just try to get some insights. There may just be a message, maybe a prediction, whatever, but hopefully it resonates with you and hopefully it will give you some clues or clarity as into what things that you should expect for this period. So I've already shuffled the cards because I'm a bit impatient. I just want to get the cards out there so I'm not shuffling, speaking, and so on. And I have already chosen the deck for this time. The first card up is going to be from the Moonology Oracle deck. And this talks about the phases of the moon. As I was born on a Monday, so it's kind of special for me, all nice and fuzzy feelings. And then additionally, we have the traditional Rider-Waite tarot deck, which is the OG of the entire decks that I've got in my entire lineup. So, as before, if you like what you see here, please be sure to give a like, share, subscribe, ding that notification bell so you don't miss any updates. And feel free to leave comments as you see fit. Play nicely, hopefully, not just for me, but for everyone else that's going to be in the comment section. And yeah, block spammers because they suck. Anyways, let's get straight on to it. We're going to go to the first card, which is going to be the signifier for your entire reading. This is going to be step outside of your comfort zone, North Node. So as you know, the North Node is a very important part of your astrological makeup, because in your profile, what the North Node does is it tells us where we're trying to evolve into. And for me, my North Node is in Cancer. So that means I have to be a bit more touchy-feely and be more in touch with emotions and all that nonsense. But at least I'm doing my best, but I don't know. I think it's backfiring on it. So maybe I get another lifetime to sort that out. But generally speaking, the comfort zone that they're speaking about is the South Node. My South Node is in Capricorn, which means that the cold, abject feeling of looking for status, the barrenness of Saturn is felt across the emotions as well. And a few other things. We're trying to step away from that need for validation from your public works, and you're now trying to focus on your inner world, not necessarily your outer or external appearance. And so in the South Node, if you look at your chart and you find out exactly where your South Node and North Nodes are, that'll give you an understanding of how these function and operate. These are mathematical points, and they're usually similar to your ascendant, your descendant, your immunum coeli, or your medium coeli. And the North Node speaks about how you're going to evolve into this lifetime, the best kind of energy for you to step into, and leaving behind the old familiar comforts of the past and getting to a new space, which leads to your soul's evolution. So that's all about, and that's your message. That is signifying the entire reading for today. So I'm going to start with the basics. What I'm noticing about you today, Virgo, is that there's a little bit of a feeling of passionless existence at this point in time. So we have here the Ace of Wands clarified by the Knight of Wands, both in the reverse. So when the Ace of Wands in the reverse, they can talk about situations where you have false starts. But I see this as a lack of passion or a loss of passion. And additionally, you have the Knight of Wands in the reverse. That can typically say, oh, this person's a playboy, playgirl, or things like that. But I see it just kind of feels aimless. Your life feels somewhat aimless. There's not something that you can actively pursue, which is going to give you a stronger sense of fulfillment at the time. This took place in the recent past. And so what you're trying to do now is you're trying to understand why this is the case. clarify this a bit more. Yeah. And as I said that, Knight of Wands and then the Chariot, there's a lack of direction. There's nothing moving forward. And when you move forward, it may feel like it's a bit aimless. What specifically is moving in an aimless direction? What specifically is moving in an aimless direction? Again, we just talked about it. King of Cups in the reverse, which talks about your emotional contentment, your ability to feel, be connected with your emotions, your ability to understand your emotions in a mature manner. It just feels to me like not only is the passion gone, but your heart center is not blocked, but it's just starved in many ways. And it's not like you're able to really find, it's not that you're not finding things that make you happy in life. But what it is saying to me is that there is a sense of unfulfillment or a lack of fulfillment in these sectors of your life. It's not a lot of passion. It's not a lot of emotionality. So that would indicate more of your mental and your physical sphere, your pentacles and your air, like your swords. Those are going to be the main things that are driving your life at the moment. And while that can be great, saving money and having intellectual conversations with people, you find that it's a very dry existence. Nothing can really grow from that. And maybe you feel like you want to be stimulated in a way other than simply just kind of focusing on the pragmatism and the intellectualism of a kind of detached existence in many ways. Now, with the Knight of Wands in the reverse, I'm getting that Bad Religion song in my head. This, God, what's the name of the song? It's the one that goes like, you and me have a disease. You affect me. You infect me. He's talking about, let's talk about something. Let's talk about anything, someone, anyone. And he's basically, I've butchered that song, but it was off of one of the albums, the 21st Century Digital Boy. I forget the name of that one. Stranger Than Fiction. That's the name of the album. And I remember them talking about just kind of having like a boring life in that song. It was just like a lack of stimulation. And it almost gives me the impression that it's like you may have fallen into a routine, which Virgos tend to do. I'm guilty of that. I'm Virgo moon. But not really having the capability to move in a direction that shows growth. So with the Chariot, we look at the ability to grow because this is a symbol of puberty in many ways in the physical realm. It's when you're moving from one stage in your life into a completely different stage. You're moving away from the city, that is which is familiar, and moving into the unknown territory, which is where strength comes into play after that. This being card number 7, strength being number 8. So you're now trying to find out the best path forward. And it feels like things not necessarily are stuck, but they're just kind of really barren and dry. It's not to say that you're not growing in other areas as well. You may have a great job. You may have like some good friends and banter to have, involved with, but there are parts of your spirit that are just completely either lying in dormancy or inactive altogether. So like, there's not a lot of emotional connectivity to people, and there's not a lot of passion connected to people. So maybe you haven't been in a relationship in a long time. Some people just may not have gotten laid in a long time. Some people may need to find a project that really sparks their fancy and that gets them going, really allows for them to tap into their creative faculties. So there's a few examples of how that may show up. The reason why I say that, in the current present moment, it's not very good cards. So you have Ten of Cups in the reverse. And then you have that clarified by the King of Swords in the reverse. King of Swords, again, is that very dry, intellectual affinity with everyone else. And I don't see this as being like a narcissistic kind of way of looking at things. Because the King of Swords is often, oh, well, this person's a narcissist and stuff. No, we're not speaking about it in that sense. This is about you. And I'm not calling you a narcissist in any way. What I'm saying is that you have the Ten of Cups in the reverse. This is like a lack of emotional fulfillment. Again, not to say that you're unhappy, but it's just kind of like a dry heave, almost like, it's like you want something to take place, but it only halfway takes place. So with the King of Swords in the reverse, it's telling me that, again, there's not really a lot of direction per se. It can be very cold and be a very sullen feeling that you may have towards where you are in your life at this particular moment in time. So if you've been in isolation for quite a bit of time, that is kind of one of those areas where it can take place. Where you're not really connecting with people on a deep level. And it's really hard to connect with people on deep levels in this day and age where everything has become policed, and where, in the dating sphere, men and women are just in two different worlds right now. And a lot of it is due to ego and superficiality. And it severs the human spirit from humanity itself, the way that people behave nowadays in their relationships. And most people would choose to be alone than to deal with that shit. And I think it's the right choice to make. So it's like, I'd rather go to it's like a person can say to themselves, I'd rather go through the pain of just solitude than feeling lonely in a crowd of people. That's kind of what I'm getting here. I can clarify this with a few more cards. For some reason, that's driving me a little bit. Clarify to cups. Exactly. Fall in the reverse, which tells us about not really wanting to take chances on certain things that could be exciting, could be a new adventurous beginning. Verify more. Yeah. Okay. So, okay. We have the Page of Pentacles in the reverse again, not wanting that new kind of start. Additionally, we have the Nine of Pentacles that came out on its side. It's just like, I want to be, there's a part of me that wants to be independent and financially free and do my own thing. And then there's another half of me, which would indicate more like the Nine of Pentacles in the reverse. You want to be with someone in a relationship and so on. So it gives me the impression it's just like, do I really trust the idea of getting back into a relationship? What is going to really convince me that this is a good idea? Because I'm under the impression that this person here doesn't want to take the risk because they kind of see the reality of what relationships have become. And it's like, yeah, I'm stuck in this kind of passionless existence, if I could say that. But it's better than being in a shit relationship, or a relationship, as I call it sometimes. And you don't want to be in a position in which you forfeit your peace of mind, your sanity, your finances, and all of that thing for someone who's going to siphon all those things away anyway. it can be really tempting to stay in that energy as well. Because what you don't want to do is to remain cloistered or in a position where you feel that in order for you to protect yourself, you have to avoid interacting with people, you have to avoid being around other people, you have to avoid, putting your heart back out there. And in today's age, a lot of people, especially men, face rejection so much that they're now getting out of the dating scene. I don't blame them. I took a break as well because I think the dating scene is full of psychopaths, to be brutally honest with you. I think that the people who are in solid relationships right now, who are kind of doing the whole hookup culture and stuff, they tend to be psychopaths who are too ingrained in the sphere of Chesed, which I've explained that in the past, where I talk about, Chesed being boundlessness, love, and all those things, and no boundaries. Whereas GEVURAH is all about tempering that, bringing in boundaries, defense of self, restrictions, limitations, fighting to preserve the individual self, and consequences and karma and things of those nature. We're too much in the dating scene here. We need to be here, balanced out. I currently am in here, so I'm not fucking around with it at all. That said, we then move on to the next phase. We then start to speak about what's taking place in the near future. And of course, the universe loves a good joke. So here's the joke. 9 of Cups in the reverse. No, 9 of Cups. Clarified by the Page of Cups. Clarified by the Empress. Clarified by Judgment. So it's a lot of cups. So when the levees break in your life, you'll then start to see that there's a definite emotionally fulfilling, content energy that's coming into your space. So that 9 of Cups is definitely a wish fulfillment. It's a feeling of joy. It's a feeling of contentment by yourself, because you have the 10 of Pentacles. I mean, you have the 10 of Cups in the reverse in the middle in the current energy, but that's going to actually go into a new kind of energy. You're going to have that 9 of Pentacles, 9 of Cups, Christ, 9 of Cups, and then that 10th cup is going to get offered to you by someone else. So perhaps I'm under the impression that you don't have the 10 of Cups right now, and that's what that 10 of Cups in the reverse is telling me. But what it's also telling me is that you finally get to a point where you're like, you know what, I'm good on my own. And then that's when you get that 10th cup. And additionally, when that happens, I don't know, I suppose whoever is coming in, it's going to be the Empress. It's going to grow and expand heavily. And then you have the Judgment. Sorry, I can't show nudes on here because YouTube's a thought crime police, thought police type of platform nowadays. With the Judgment, the two of those together, that is not telling me a reconciliation, but it's a judgment based on the fact that you have been in absolute abject isolation for such a long time. And then things get to a period where you just, it's almost like it's dull and barren. And then all of a sudden that one bud springs forth from the desert, the desert ground. And it just breathes new life into everything that you're doing with yourself. And this is going to take you aback. And the reason why I say that is because the outcome of it is the 8 of Swords. The 8 of Swords is talking about being in your head. Being in your head and not really understanding which direction to take, even though the direction is clear. These two cards came on its side too. Do I give and do I invest in this? And then with the Temperance card, is there going to be a level of reciprocity, give and take? And can I alchemize this relationship into something that's going to allow me to bring something new into life? Because the Temperance is the alchemy card. We have this with the Delta symbol on the Archangel Gabriel's chest there. And this is the symbol of alchemy. It's the symbol of change. In order for change to take place, you have to have a dialectic approach. You have your, your abstract, your negative, and then that becomes something concrete. So it's I would say problem, reaction, solution, but that's a different way of applying it. The advice for you and all of this is simply to bring it into fruition. Let it come in. Manifest it. Know that you have all the tools at your disposal to manifest this. And additionally, what you manifest will give you a massive breakthrough. The two of these together, that's very good advice. It's saying that if you want that breakthrough, bring it in. Know also that you have the capability to do so. And it's not just something that you're going to not have all the tools to be able to bring to life. So after a long wait, a long period of thinking that things are just going to be the way they are, in pops this new individual. Just for fun, we'll just see what kind of sign they are. What is this person's sun sign? If it's in a love relationship, what is the person's sun sign? So the person's sun sign is going to be a Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, according to the cards. Tell me more. What is the person like? Okay, so a lot of earth energy in this. We get the Hierophant and the Devil in the reverse. So Hierophant in the reverse, Taurus, obviously. And this, we have the Devil in the reverse as well. It's Capricorn. If we look at it at a metaphysical level, it could be a person that, or a symbolic level, this could be a person that's getting out of a toxic relationship, possibly a marriage, and is now on their own. Devil is a contract, typically a toxic one or a very binding one. The Hierophant is someone who's faithful, loyal, and devoted to preserving the status quo, at least in the sense of devoting themselves to things that have always been tried and tested. So with the Hierophant and the Devil and both are in the reverse, this is a person that's breaking free from that. And additionally, there's a heavy earth influence in this. So it seems to me like the person that is going to come into your life that's going to bring about all this change and kind of turn the taps on back in your love and your emotional sphere and your passion sphere will have those qualities. They'll have like a lot of heavy earth energy. So they're maybe pragmatic, grounded, focused on the day-to-day affairs. Not to say they're going to be boring or like that, but they don't like toxicity in their life either, with that Devil in the reverse. It's something that they've gotten themselves out of. So I guess that's just what the cards say for today. Step out of your comfort zone. When you do that, that's when those new energies are going to take place in your life. And then try not to push it away when it does come. But anyways, talked for a bit of time here. Thank you so much. This is Crucible Tarot. If you like what you see here, again, please be sure to give a like, share, subscribe, ding the notification bell so you don't miss updates from future postings. Block those spammers, leave those comments, and that's it. Until next time, VIAM, GEVURAH, AMBULO.